What is going on, guys? It is Fluxified here and welcome back to another video. Today I have quite an interesting one for you. We're going to be having a direct conversation with one of the top Rust console YouTubers at this point in time, CNQR Toxic. Now this is a little bit different than the style of videos we do normally. We're just going to be talking about the state of the game and just giving an overview of our thoughts and feelings really towards the current state of Rust console and the future. I hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. First off, introductions.
Hello, I'm CNQR Toxic. I've been a player of this game first and foremost since beta. I was introduced to it by my cousin, who I played the game with for about 3 years now. And we discovered it before watching PC, so I didn't have any prior experience to the game and thoroughly enjoyed it. Decided to make some wipe videos with a clan, so it was clan-based content. No one really did that. And then the game got stale because as a lot of people's reception to the game, there wasn't many updates that were coming out fast paced. So I diverted my attention to just covering the game from a commentary standpoint. And here we are, we're on the edge of the game. In my opinion, I think it will blow up. So I've gone from a player to now a commentator and covering updates and obviously speculation in my own opinion for the game, which has led us here in the big 2025.
I know, and I think it is crazy to think that like how the game has progressed over 4 years now, because I mean I remember playing it in beta in like 2021 and I saw a clip on my phone recently where the code locks for the doors were like in the center. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like in the center and not actually on the lock, and it's crazy to think of kind of how it's changed over those years as well up to now when we've got like this whole next gen version, you know?
Yeah, it's unbelievable how far the game's come in a way. I mean, people sit back and be like, well, it hasn't gone that far. It's gone through a progression, whether it's positive or negative. Going back to some of the stuff in 2021, 2022, I've always said that the textures look better and on the guns and the bases. And then when the terrain update happened, we'd sort of seen that dumbed down a bit and it looked like Play-Doh. And I think generally that was something that did actually happen because they were still trying to optimize for old generation consoles, and I'm sure we'll cover that in the video. It's a huge debate, but as time goes on, I don't really see it as a debate anymore.
Yeah, I think I do agree with that, to be fair, especially like you said, because you got to think the old gen consoles, they came out in 2013 now? So I mean, it was a long time ago. So the fact
over a decade, just one over a decade.
Insane, and yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I think this next-gen version pretty much needed to happen. Like, for years now, I've seen people in, like, Twitter comments and everything saying, you know, when are we going to get an announcement? I put a poll out on my YouTube account about, I want to say, 3-4 months ago, saying, what do you want to see for Rust console this year? And the next-gen version was, like, one of the, I think it was the top requested thing. So it's something that I think needed to happen and people kind of wanted it to happen, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, to be honest now, when I think back, I don't know how this game could have survived if we didn't get that announcement, because we wouldn't have got the big updates like we want, such as minicopters that haven't been confirmed, but they will come to the game if we're going to be honest here. I can't have seen this game going another year being alive. Do I think the game could have been handled better? It's easy for me as a viewer to say that, but as a customer for the game that's invested not only my money, but my time, it could have. I think the reputation Rust has allowed the game and has given Double 11 as a company leverage to be how they've been, of kind of not communicating with the community to a certain extent. But I think it's part and parcel. I like to play devil's advocate in these situations. I think they've done a lot of good for the game to bring it onto console first and foremost. But we're starting to get to the point where we're getting new gen, but this should have happened realistically at least a year and a half ago.
Yeah, if you look at kind of how long the next gen kind of consoles have been out, I mean, I do agree with that. I also think that, like you said, communication is definitely been a big thing. I think over the past few years, we haven't really had much aside from like dev blogs and things like that. I mean, obviously going from last year, I think when we had like electric furnaces up till maybe around February, there just wasn't much. No one knew what was going to happen. We knew there was a roadmap coming and that was it. I mean, to be fair, I will give credit. I do think it's been a lot better since they announced the next gen version. Obviously, we're getting like pretty much weekly updates, new questions answered, new pictures of the next gen version, which I tried to cover as well. So if they can kind of keep this communication up that they're doing right now, I think it it will be good for everyone because everyone's kind of getting involved and kind of gives us a chance as well to kind of talk about the future and what we think's going to happen. Like if we didn't know that we were getting hot air balloons and that was 100% confirmed, then we wouldn't be able to make videos kind of talking about how that opens the door now to other vehicles and things like minicopters and everything. So if they can keep this up, I think it will be 100% better for the game than it has been in the last few years.
Yeah, for sure. I think, again, they haven't really given us much to be excited about aside from, see, hot air balloons has had a mixed sort of reception in that sense. A lot of people like it, but then a lot of people are like, well, it's the shittiest sort of air transportation you could have. But if you branch out from that, it could introduce parachutes, SAM sites. I saw a reply to G Portal of them on a zip line saying we. And you know, people are like, oh my God, they're trying so hard to grasp at anything. I'm like, well, yeah, you can see it as a negative, but I'm very much invested in the game. And I'm excited that the game is going to be better, and I want to make as much content leading up to that as possible. Keep the hype going, not just for myself, but to try and hype up for the community. And so when I get stuff wrong, or when I guess any content creator gets stuff wrong, I have had pointers from Pedro where he's like, well, this isn't true. And I go back and I try to deliver not only my theories and opinions, but also confirmed and official information. But in terms of communication on Double 11's part, they have been better. I mean, when we look back, August to January time, there was just absolutely nothing. And I was just like, am I going to go play another game now? Because it wasn't great. When did you start making sort of Rust console content then?
I think it was late February, so just kind of when the hype was for the roadmap and everyone thought we were going to get a roadmap. That's when I first kind of jumped into things.
So how have you evolved as a player, and why did you want to actually pivot towards not just making wipe videos, but focusing and homing on the updates?
So I played Rust console since beta, so I've got I think I must have about 3,600 hours in it right now. So, I mean, it's nothing crazy compared to a lot of people on PC, but it's still a good amount to kind of know whether you like the game or not, kind of figure out what you like about it. And I mean, growing up kind of watching people like Shadowfrax, I don't know if you're familiar with him on the PC side. Yeah, that's the stuff. I always like watching those videos, and I think his community kind of loves that he does that, and that's why kind of I wanted to kind of jump in and do the same thing. And especially kind of watching videos from yourself and Jade and everyone, that kind of made me want to get into doing that kind of thing. And obviously coming in at a time when people were initially so hyped about kind of the roadmap and the future and talking about everything, there was a lot of content on the floor to kind of pick up on and propel me straight into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I think the game has a lot of gaps in the market for content. And I said, I think at the start of the year, this is going to be the year to create content for the game, because I don't think it's the best it can be. It's very much different. I compare it to PC, PC has movie level production to it. The editing's out of this world. And then when I look at console, it's just gameplay and narration from a PlayStation or Xbox mic.
Yeah,
it's night and day, the quality of videos, but a lot of the videos still get a lot of views. So I think definitely for anyone that wants to come in and put their own spin on it, like you said you wanted to, definitely now's the time. You couldn't have chosen a better time, to be honest, being February and having all the stuff that's been announced and so much stuff to cover. Now we're going into June. What are your, based off everything you know and what we've seen from the internet, what's your opinion and theory, not official, but theory as to when you think it will release?
This is an interesting one, because there's a part of me, I know this sounds really stupid, there is a part of me that thinks that they could shadow drop it. And I know that probably sounds really crazy, right? But if you think about how, I think was it the devlog or another announcement they said where the next gen version was going to be out before October, because that was the end, that was when they're doing the end of wipe things, and they've said that the next gen version will be available before the final wipe on old gen. So we know it will be out before October. We're in May now and we have no release date. And we're also coming off the back of, I don't know if you are familiar with the Oblivion remake, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake, but that was, that was shadow drop, and it got 4 million players within a week. So they do work. I know it sounds stupid, but I wonder if there could be something planned, and that's why we also don't have a date. If that wasn't the case and there was kind of, you know, maybe a trailer in the works with a release date, I'd probably put it around August, kind of July, August time. I think that if they put it and position it within the kind of summer holidays for, like, you know, everyone else out there, like, I think that will get a lot of people interested, because obviously they've got a lot more spare time. You know, the parents are taking holidays as well to go places, and there's a lot more people with a lot more spare time to put into games. So I think if they positioned it around there, if they weren't going to shadow drop, that would probably be the best place just from an interest point of view.
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting you mentioned shadow drop. I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I don't think they have the leverage to do that. So if we look at how big Rust Console Edition is, first and foremost, it still has a very topsy-turvy growth rate. So the growth has been great, but because of the lack of communication, we've gone through over half a year now of no real content updates to the game. Word gets about to other communities, and they're like, "No, I'm not going to play that game. I'm going to leave that and maybe play it another time." As well, competitors such as Deadside, for example, yeah, they've got some numbers, but most importantly, they haven't sold the game well enough. If they dropped, cars is going to be coming, we've got hot air balloons that are going to be coming, we've got SAM sites, we've got mini copters that are going to be coming within a month of the launch. If they had told us the roadmap, let's say, or things that were going to come on drop of the game, then sure, they could shadow drop it, but I don't think they have enough there for people to play the game and be convinced to play the game based off of hot air balloons and some graphic overhaul and optimization, which we've been barking for the last 3 years. I saw a interesting video from Virtually Cracked, who went into the finances of Face Punch and Double 11, and the cutoff point, I believe, to show the investors is September, I think. And it does, if that is true what he said, then it does make sense as to why they done a complete 180, went quiet on the community, and announced that new gen was going to become a reality for players. And as well, coming up to May, they stopped selling the game on the market. How long are they going to go without earning much revenue? Because I've seen my friends play the game recently. I've dabbled on it on the PTB. I've got 1,000 ping trying to PvP. The graphics aren't great. The daylight as well, it just seems so dark. I just came off after an hour. I don't know how you felt after playing, but it can't be much lower than it is right now in terms of how bad it can get before it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I downloaded Deadside recently, so I've been playing it a little bit on console, and I went back to Rust, as I always do, to record like my gameplay, like in the background of my videos and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen my 300 ping bow PvP videos, but they're always quite interesting. But yeah, I think absolutely, when you play a different game and come back to the console version, like how blurry it looks and everything, the defo needs to be a change. And I think this is what is propelling Rust console into the future, is that people see the PC version and they're like, okay, well, this is the same game. It can get to this point. Like, that's why I'm going to hold on to it, because I know what it can be against what it is now, if that makes sense. And I think the developers really need to use that and be like, okay, well, we're doing this next gen version. We need to show people what they're going to get now that we've left old gen behind. We don't have those kind of restrictions anymore, and really just show us the new content. I mean, I absolutely agree with what you said about kind of on launch. We don't know what we're getting yet. And I mean, we're only a few months away shortly from the release. There was a question that was answered today, I don't know if you saw it, about the weather. They announced that there's new weather systems coming into the next gen version. So again, I think they said that they're like experimenting with it, and then we'll get a few on release and then some more systems afterwards, like no specifics. So there's that, there's the graphics, and there's the hot air balloons. And that's pretty much all we know. If I don't believe I'm wrong on that, I think that's all that we know in terms of new content that we're getting. So I do think it would be so good to get some kind of, like you were saying, like, this is what you're going to get on release. This is our plans for after launch. And I think it will come, but I think it needs to be sooner rather than later, while people are interested, because that interest will drop off if the communication drops off, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I've noticed very much in the past couple of months, the interest has actually just dropped off from TikTok videos to YouTube videos. The same repeating comments like, where is it? They're essentially leaving us breadcrumbs But the thing is that we've had this sort of mentality of, oh, this game is going to look great since, 2021, 2022?
Yeah.
And there wasn't any real graphical improvements. If anything, the game's got or been in a decline in terms of performance. So the community is very much like, what sort of hope is there? And I'm very much optimistic, and I see the opportunity that this game is going to blow up and this game is going to be great. The only thing I'm concerned about is that we still don't know what we're going to get. And for new customers to the game and new players who will invest their money into it, they don't know what they're going to invest their money into yet. So obviously we've spoken about the updates, or the very few that are confirmed, the graphical overhaul, but there's nothing very gripping yet. And that may be because we've covered it so many times now that is a second thought to us. But I think the 4th year anniversary coming up May 21st? May 21st?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, so coming up to the 4th year anniversary, there's no way, and I repeat, there's no way that they can drop a 4-year anniversary skin and nothing else. Something has to budge. Surely they say, we've got a release date, this is going to be it. We're releasing it in July, August, or June, and then that will get the people buzzing, and then people will be like, okay, I'm going to play whatever game I'm playing, but now I have a release date. I'm now going to go onto that game or the new gen version when it drops, because if they shadow dropped it, I don't think they have the marketing capabilities personally for them to attract players on launch of the game. People just be like, well, it'll be more word of mouth than the marketing on their behalf. I'm just keen to see what the roadmap is going to look like. Do you have any? I think you made actually a video talking about what you think is going to come in the roadmap. Have you had any second thoughts about that?
I think that we need to see new content. And I mean, to give a bit of background, I should say, on myself, I actually have a honours degree in computer game design. So I know stuff about games, I know how they work. I don't see how it wouldn't be that simple to just bring in, for example, the new weapons from the PC version, the high caliber revolver, tier 1 SMG, the SKS, that kind of thing. That doesn't seem like it would be too difficult from my perspective and background. So I would hope that we get some kind of new weapons. Obviously, we're getting the hot air balloons. I did make a video talking about how I think it would be fantastic if we had missile silo as well, just to give another kind of event in quotation marks to the game, because obviously it doesn't kind of broadcast it to the server or anything, but it's I talked about it in my video, it's an actual counterable event that players can come and they're doing silo, let's camp the doors, let's have that kind of PvP, and it throws that into the game and it just mixes it up. And I think that's what Rust console needs, is they need something to mix it up, because if you're an old player, or if you're someone who dropped off Rust console in 2022, 23, 24, and you hear about the next gen version, what realistically is going to make you want to come back? And that's what they need to tell to the community. The developers need to say, this is what you're going to get. So it gives people that interest to be like, okay, well, I stopped playing because of this reason, because this got old, because I wasn't getting the content, but now I know I'm getting this, so I'm going to give it another shot.
No, 100%. When I think back to Pedro saying that there's going to be a game clip, I did try to say to them, is this going to be a trailer? And he said, no, it's going to be a game clip, which I'm kind of like, oh God, are they going to make a trailer for this, or are they not going to? Or are they just going to make game clips of what's new in the game? Surely they're not just going to walk around the map for about 10 seconds and show a rock on AK. Surely not. I would be dead surprised. I think at this point, because of how long we've gone without content, just having graphics and optimization isn't enough. Something has to happen more than what we've been given thus far. Not to downplay the Q&As that they've done. Some have been fillers. I've voiced my opinion on those. Others have been really helpful. And also, we haven't mentioned the pricing that they've given it for free to existing players. And
that's
even
so
on
good.
disc. Yeah, that's rewarding. And I think at this point it's sort of expected, because whether people are negative or positive about the game, Rust has a very loyal fan base, because there's very little games that are as good as Rust, both as how they are and also the potential they have. So we're going into a golden age of this game, sort of how we went into a golden age in around 2022. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun playing this game. We just got to hope that things are done right. But what I'm more interested in is, if either of us get into the content creator program, I'd love to speak to the devs and just sort of be like, how hard is it to put an update into the game, such as minis? What's the testing?
Yeah.
How long does it take? And how easy is it now compared to how it was when you're trying to optimize for new and old gen? And obviously you mentioned you've gotten honors in that sort of environment. Do you think there's a huge difference in making sort of assets and porting game assets for a new gen console compared to an old gen?
I think that you have to optimize things a lot more for old gen, because obviously they are such old systems, and that's why we had the PTB as well, and accounts for that, because on the old systems things just don't run. It's never gonna work, and I think that's why we haven't got air transport till now. And I get that now, but I don't think there was any communication to say to us, okay, we can't do this because of these restrictions. And I think going back to what we were talking about in kind of communication, asking about kind of the back end and learning kind of how difficult it is to move and, get minis in the game. I think on one side, it would be nice for us to get that information. So then there's less speculation and people saying, oh, these developers are lazy, they could do all this kind of stuff, but they're not. Because I think then it helps the developers, because we're taking that stress and pressure off them to add this thing. And it also informs our communities at the same time. In terms of the next gen consoles, now that they have air transport and that is confirmed in terms of hot air balloons, I think that minis is I want to say a next step, because they've got air transport working, right? So it works. So surely it should just be a process of iterating on what they already have working to just add something else. And I know minis go a bit faster, so there's probably a few kind of background issues with map generation and loading in bases and that. But honestly, even if they did something, and I know this might be controversial, but even if they made the minis slower to fly around, but then we still got minis, I think it would still be worth it.
Yeah, I think, well, if we go back to the start of the game, I think back in 2021, or definitely by 2022, they had at least pondered with helis coming to the game. I remember before I was banned in the Discord, either I saw it or I asked it about bringing minicopters to the game and what were the posed problems with that. One of the huge and major problems was the PS5 sound. I think that's when the boat glitch sound was.
I remember that. That was horrible. That was so bad.
We've gone through some dark times. I mean, the launch site glitch, going underneath the map, and then the rock glitch. We've gone through some tough times playing this game.
Do you remember when we had boats flying in the air before minis? Because that was a great time.
Yeah, literally, I've got clips of that. I saved clips before they got deleted off the Xbox archives and stuff. So I've got some in my folder that I just look back and I'm like, my God, what?
Yeah, I just remember looking up in the air and there's literally a boat just flying through the air because someone's got a crossbow and shot the little box a couple of times. And yeah, it was a crazy time. It was a crazy time.
Yeah, it was definitely. I think another huge point that I guess we have to cover as content creators is the anti-cheat and what it's going to achieve. People asking for mouse and keyboard servers. I want to sort of gain knowledge and pick your brain on what's your opinions on that. Are you for or against mouse and keyboard servers, and how do you perceive the anti-cheat being effective in the game?
So I remember seeing what they said about anti-cheat, but I don't know what they mean by it. They've said we're getting anti-cheat, but in what way? Because they've talked about trying to ban third-party devices, you got Zen, Cronus and all that stuff. But I know for a fact, because I've seen little clips on TikTok and YouTube and stuff, that people still manage to get that working. So it would be good to know what exactly they're doing in terms of anti-cheat, how it's going to work, if it's going to block devices, if it's going to ban people, what it's going to do there. In terms of mouse and keyboard support, I think it's a tricky one. In my personal opinion, I think Rust console is a console game. So I think it should just be played with a controller, and I think that's how they've designed the game to work, because Rust console hasn't got any aim assist.
Yeah, that got removed.
Exactly. And if you put mouse and keyboard, then it will inherently give an advantage to anyone with that mouse and keyboard. I know it's a tricky one, but I genuinely do believe that Rust console should just remain for controllers, at the end of the day, and the PC version is what you should play if you are looking for that kind of experience. And I mean, if you look at it right now, you're probably going to get a more content rich product if you decide to do that.
Yeah, it's a huge talking point for the game. When I was in the Discord, I saw people talking about how the cheating sort of community or the cheating problem was at between 1%, 1 and 10%. I've played in a team where at the height of CNQR, we had endless amounts of people contacting us saying, can we like play with you? Can we join up for a wipe? And we were like, well, we're legit only, can we see some clips?
Yeah.
The amount of hours I cannot explain that I had to look through at how cheats work, what cheats look like, what to look for, the sounds, if there is any, like if there's a keyboard sound. I had to look through endless amounts of clips to determine whether someone was cheating or not. So when I sort of talk about it's more than 1%, there's so many people on the game that cheat, and it would do them a disjustice if they say to the community, it's not 1%, it's, let's say it's 20%, because then you're just diverting the people away from the game. It's sort of like, it's bittersweet. You either be transparent and it sort of get people a bit sour about it and they just like, oh, I'm not playing the game because, you know, there's so many cheaters, or you're just like, oh yeah, it's 1%. They're like, okay, that's fair enough. But if it was 1%, I don't think we'd be crying as much about an anti-cheat, if we're going to be honest. But this is not just a Rust problem, this is a gaming problem. And the scripts for it, the devices for it, is absolutely insane. And I'm very intrigued to see how Double 11 combat this. And it's good that they are trying to combat it, because it's not an easy task. The cheating problem has been a very, very major talking point from the game. And I've gone through hell and back looking at people's clips, and even some people that we've like started to play with and then we find out they're cheating. Obi's had countless people that have been zen in the end, and he's like, you know, I can't make videos with you anymore. So yeah, anti-cheat is definitely something I want to cover more on, but again, we just don't have any information for it.
I think if we can load into the next gen version and we have a good anti-cheat in place and it's stopping like, you know, 80-90% of cheaters, I think that will help the game a lot. Because how many people do you think load in and, you know, they spend all of their, you know, their time after work getting a tier 2, getting a Tommy, or they find like a Tommy in like a military crate and it's the craziest thing ever, they're running back to base and then they get like beamed from 300 meters by like an AK.
Yeah, it's nuts. Something I don't know if I voiced it to Pedro, but I made a video about it, I think a year ago now. Basically saying that, why can't we have in the HUD for like a community admin, why can't we have in the HUD the spray of the AK, and then when you're spectating a player, their spray is either by beside it or on top of what the AK spray is. And if there's Zen, then it's going to literally be pinpoint 99% of the time. As a legit player, it's very, very, very unlikely that you'll have the same spray back to back to back in multiple occasions. Your spray is going to be different, and that will suit Zim and Zen more. Like there will be fights where it's different, but for the most part, Zim is easy to tell because of how people move in the game. I've played PC, I've dabbled in it, but I also have friends that have played PC for a long time, and you just get to know how PC players play and when someone's on a mouse and keyboard. Zen, it's just like insane recoil control. I mean, there are some people that have like played this game for 24 hours a day. And people got jobs, people got school, people can't keep up with trying to keep their spray the best that they can. And unfortunately, these devices are at their disposal to just freely use.
Exactly, and I think it does affect the player base. I think if you're someone, you know, that does have that happen to you and you lose all that progress, it can be frustrating, and that can get you to, you know, just quit the game or just rage quit, delete it, never look back. So if they can get on top of that, I really do think it would be a great thing to see, and I really do hope that they do communicate further and talk in a little bit of detail about the anti-cheat. Obviously, I know there's the whole thing of, you know, they can't provide too much because then the cheat providers will see that and that'll give them more more information. But I mean, talking about the next gen version again, obviously I'm aware you asked me about the stuff I'd like to see. So going back to your question and asking it to yourself, so obviously we've talked about content and the things that we can expect and what we think. So what are your predictions and what do you think we will actually get in this next gen version on release?
On release, okay, so we've got hot air balloons, building skins. I think they'll have building skins on release. They'll have a new addition to the store where you can obviously see more than just gear and gun skins. I think we'll have building skins, because you have to think of it from a business standpoint.
Absolutely.
If you're going to sell someone a game, put something in there that people are going to want to buy. Building skins have never been in the game. Put them in the Ultimate Deluxe Edition, and you'll have a very nice payday for the company. But we'll see what happens there. So building skins, in my opinion, hot air balloons. I think zip lines will be a thing. Parachutes and SAM sites have got to happen because you can't be floating around freely in a hot air balloon. Parachutes, yes, because I don't think they're a hard thing to put into the game again. It's sort of like zip lines. So I think those things as well. Honestly, unless I'm a fool and I've forgotten something that's very obvious, those are the things on launch we'll get. In terms of a prediction for a roadmap, again, if you want to sell the game, which they need to desperately, minicopters are going to come, cars are going to come. We've already had confirmed that bigger maps and higher pop. Now this is very, very important because we cannot have excavator, we cannot have all these other monuments we want in a 3K map because the map will get too congested and will be ultimately too small. So they've said that, you know, they'll come but not on launch. So I think they will bring out large maps, free up space for excavator, Arctic base, and then you'll have obviously snowmobiles. Like, I can't say that, oh yeah, these things are going to happen because they are. I'm not even speculating anymore. They're going to happen. It's just a matter of when. But I think the main thing is to get transport out and to get higher pop and a higher or a bigger map. They're the important things, in my opinion, for the game. We're not going to get a new recoil spray, which I'm sort of happy about if this anti-cheat is going to work, because the spray that PC has, if they put it on a controller, it would be dead easy to sort of control, which would make cheating pointless or less, I guess, than what it is now. So I think just gauging from what the community wants and also from a business standpoint, because they're a business, they need to make money. What's going to make money? What people are shouting for. So yeah, it's not very hard, and I'm not going to sit here and say I told you so, this is going to happen, because let's be honest, you know, we've sort of been moaning about it for so long now that it's got to.
Absolutely. I think looking at the PC version, we know already the future because they're not going to make stuff that isn't on the PC version. And I mean, talking about recoil again, do you remember the HLNG originally, the original recoil for that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, that was. You can definitely tell who was cheating on that.
Yeah.
It was funny to see because I think one of the devs were like, "We're not going to have PC recoil. Why would we do that?" Or something along the lines of that. I was talking in a live stream about it, and one of the viewers was like, "Well, they just added the HLNG recoil from PC. What's he on about?" And I was like, "Yeah, like what? We're going to obviously get a new recoil at some point."
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. It really will. I had a thought as well. When you were talking about skins and like the building skins on release that you think we may get, I don't know why they haven't done the see-through skins. Do you know, like on the doors on PC, you have like literally like see-through windows. I think that would sell so well on console, and it would change up base designs as well, because you wouldn't need to have like shop fronts or windows kind of checking out for door campers. You'd literally have like the little glass windows on your door or like little air vents on garage doors to be able to like kind of look through them a little bit. I really think that they're missing something by not doing that, and if they are going out with a new kind of skin store on the next gen version and doing golden skins and all that potentially, I would assume that we would also get something like that, because that just seems like a lot of money left on the table.
Yeah, there's so many things that, I mean, us content creators, it's easy for us to say, but again, we're the consumer. We're doing them a favor by making these videos, as well as them making the game. It's sort of like a relationship in a way. So yeah, there's a lot of things that should be very more easy to do and achieve than they were. The skins are going to look better, the game's going to look better, we're going to have more updates. One thing I'm wanting to know is, are we going to have a monthly update cycle? Because we had that short span of updates before 2025, and that dropped off, and we've just been having quality of life and nothing's been going on in the game. So monthly updates, I think it's got to happen at some point. I don't know how big the Double 11 team is, if that's achievable, but they just have to capitalize on this, which then makes the player base want to play the game more, which has more eyes on the game, which then makes content creators make more content, which then engages people in the game, new and existing players. They are sitting on a gem for enjoyment and money. And the potential this game has, if it goes in the right direction, will bring that in abundance. So it's just like, yeah, they're very fortunate to have this opportunity to make the game. And obviously we're very fortunate that we're able to play the game because they brought it to our consoles. So, you know, I'm not always about hating, and I don't think content creators are all about hating. I think at the core of it all, we have the best interest of this game at heart, and we're just a player like everybody else. We just want the game to succeed.
Exactly. I think that, you know, we are very passionate about this game. And like you said, that's why we make these videos. You know, we enjoyed it so much to make this content to get other people excited, you know? So I really do think there is an opportunity here for the developers. You know, they are sitting on something. They are taking this step now and giving the community something that we've been asking for. And like you said, I really hope that they can deliver with this. And at the moment, I have a lot of faith in them. I think that, you know, at the moment, the communication is so much better. And I think that it is a turning point, you know, and I really hope it does continue. You know, talking about monthly updates before, how you were saying when we got, was it underwater labs? And then we got the drones, electric furnaces, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If they can bring that back, which we know they have done before, so we know it's possible. So if they can bring that back with the next gen version and its monthly updates, like they're doing on PC, I really do think it'll be so good for the overall just health of the game. And it's something interesting as well. Something I did want to mention to you specifically and get your opinions is that they said originally that the old gen version of the game would stay active. It would get small quality of life updates and bug fixes. But then recently they've kind of done a full pivot and said, okay, it's actually not going to be playable after October. And I'm intrigued why they've done that. And I would hope that part of that reason is that so they can have more devs and just focus on this new gen version rather than splitting the team a little bit towards, you know, making bug fixes and so on for the old gen version. They can just fully concentrate it on this new gen version, hopefully get that content to us faster. But I'd love to know really what your thoughts are on that.
I think it's a sign of the times, really. There's a lot of people I've seen within the community that said, you know, this player base is going to get split in half because a lot of them are old gen. But if we're going to be honest, with a big game like GTA, it's going to be coming next year. Old gen users, just for that game alone, will have their eyes set on getting a new gen console, which at this point is current gen. But more to the point that, you know, what's the point of making a new product and want to capitalize on it when you're not going to go all in for this? Just like us content creators are going to go all in for their content. We're going to spend countless hours making videos, tutorials and stuff. They have an opportunity where they're going to go all in and, you know, by the looks of it, they are taking it. I don't understand why, even as a small team as they are, they would have people on the old gen version making tweaks or quality of life updates. It doesn't gain them any more revenue, really. So to have the whole team, if that's what they're doing, fully on the new gen version of the game and handling it all is just way forward, and it's something that obviously needs to be done, because when we look back at, I think just even a month ago, there's a lot of problems with the game and how the game was lagging and a lot of people were disconnecting and there was a lot of bugs, and they had said, we've got a couple people on the new gen version that are, you know, on track with progress, but then we've had to have a couple other people go back on the old gen or the current gen version to just iron out these bugs and fix them. So I can't see them trying to split the team to do whatever they can on the current gen version of the game. I think it's very logical, and I'm not surprised by it. If anything, I'd be surprised if it was the other way around. So I think it's a good decision. They're putting all their developers on the new gen version of the game, and I'm pretty sure they'll have a lot more fun as well. Again, that's another question I'd ask the devs, like, how much fun is it now? Do you feel more free than limited and constrained from the old gen version? And a question I wanted to ask you about the content creator program. Obviously, with all we know about, you have some options that would require an NDA. What would your plan be if you became a content creator officially from Double 11 for the game? What would your content change, or would you have a different approach to how you make videos, or would you still go down the route as you are now?
So I'd always want to stay along the same content. I really do like just putting news out to this community, getting everyone interested and involved. I would like to see the private dev Discord. I think kind of having that frontline communication with the devs, and in a situation where everyone is like speculating about something, just to be able to ask one of the developers, is this a thing? Should I make a video on this? Is this likely to happen? Is this like wrong? I feel like just being able to talk to the developers, getting a concise answer, taking out that speculation, and just giving the community an honest answer directly from the developers would be something that would really help my content. So really, I'd just like to have that kind of frontline communication with the developers, just to be able to know, okay, this is something we're getting. If I have a question, I can just go ask the question, get an answer, and then let my community know that. And hopefully that'll stop us kind of guessing or speculating. So yeah, it's really just the communication that I'd be the most interested in, just having that Discord where I could just ask a question openly, get an answer, make a video about it. I guess it would also help to have kind of like early access, like patch notes and devlogs, just as far as making kind of update videos go as well. But honestly, the content creator program was a really good thing from the developers. I don't know how it's going to pan out yet, because I don't know if you've heard anything back, but I haven't heard anything back from that yet. Again, obviously, if I don't get chosen for that, I realize I'm quite a smaller Rust console YouTuber, so it's not a problem for me. I'm not going to change my content or anything, or stop making videos or anything like that. But from my perspective, if I did get chosen, I'd just love to use it as a chance to communicate with the developers directly, get answers to questions, provide that clarity to my viewers, and just really just drive honesty and less speculation about things.
Yeah, speculation is a killer for some. I don't know if you had seen or heard about the sort of NDA stuff that happened before the Content Creators Program was announced. A couple content creators, including myself, approached with an opportunity, but there was an NDA involved. Now, I have people that, send me stuff countlessly about what's been said about me in the Discord, because they just disagree with it. They think it's sort of rude. And obviously, as I said to you before, recording this video, not everyone's cup of tea, and I can appreciate and understand that. Now, when I see so many hate comments, or people just flat out don't like me or don't like my content in the official Discord, and some of these people talk to the devs, I'm just like, oh god, which angle is this coming from? Is it coming from one where this is an opportunity, or is this coming from an angle of you're making these videos where people are like, this is clickbait, this is, you're sending them the wrong information, you want to silence that? So I didn't read anything. I was just like, it's not for me at this moment in time. Thank you for the opportunity. And so I wish they had brought out this content creator program before letting some content creators know. I wish they'd done it in that order, because when reading through the form and then clarifying about the NDA, that was much more of a professional and understandable approach to allowing content creators to gain early access, and there would be an NDA involved for these specific things. Then maybe the way it came across the first time, irrespective of what angle they had come from. So yeah, it was a little bit messy, and I'm very much behind the content creator program. The only thing I am concerned about is because the sort of lack of content creators this game has. Well, I can only think of off the top of my head, a couple big names in the Rust community. There's a lot more people that are very much a smaller size, but they're coming through. There's a lot of them that I've seen, and I'm just like, that's sus. How you're playing is sus. So I'm very intrigued to see how Double 11 cope with that, or what investigation they're going to do with that. Because there's players out, there's even players that are, putting Zim and Zen in their thumbnails, basically alluding to they might be playing Zen or Zim, irrespective of if they're joking about it or not. They're still putting it in their thumbnails and, letting the viewer know, oh god, they might be playing on this device. So yeah, I'm keen to see what regulations they have in place and why they are choosing specific content creators. So there's so many avenues that we could go down into what can happen, not just with the content creator program, but the game in general. I'm glad I'm sort of not in Double 11's position, because there's a hell of a lot to do there. So I'm just sitting back with my feet up and just waiting for that release date.
And it is getting closer, and man, the thoughts of what we could get at the moment, obviously nothing's set in stone. We don't know much. So just thinking about what we could potentially get is just driving so much excitement on my side as someone that's so passionate about this game and someone that really wants it to succeed. So, we're wrapping up this video now, but is there any final comment or any final thoughts on the game you just wanted to voice out there to everyone?
Oh, final thoughts. The thing is, I've covered the same sort of stuff for so many videos now. I don't even know what thoughts I have about the game anymore that are brand new. I think if I could give any pointers is at this stage in the game or the process of it, be patient. If we're going to predict anything, I think we're going to get released at the end of May, and then we're going to be getting the pricing of the game, and then we're going to get the roadmap. That's what I think is going to happen. And obviously the gameplay sort of clips we're going to get, I think they're going to showcase some new stuff. Just be excited, just be happy. I don't want to be negative about the game. It does no favors for us content creators. When we're more positive and when the game's booming more, it's good for people watching our videos, it's good for people playing the game, good for Double 11. So I think 2025, I think it's nearly 2026, where's the year gone? But I think
too fast.
Yeah, just be excited for the game. That's all I can say.
Yeah, 100%. So much to be excited for, and just let's see where the year takes us. We could have some crazy things on the horizon, and yeah, not too far away now. But anyway, thank you so much for taking part in that. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here and just talk about Rust Console, the game we're so passionate about.
Yeah, no problem, man. Happy to always talk with people, new and existing creators, and I had a blast on it.
Fantastic, man. All right then, thank you so much, and see you on the beach.
See ya.